Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Glad to see everyone. I'm Holly Yakuhawk, and thank you for joining us today. We have a 1-hour session that is really for you. It's your time. And if you all could enter your name and your organization and maybe your title into the chat, that would be wonderful. So appreciate you all doing that. And I see that we have Bina, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Carolyn, hi Carolyn. Donna, Jeffrey, Jennifer Harding, thank you Jennifer. Joan, Judith Watt, Katie, Kevin, and Livia from C4. And then there's Stephanie. And I think that's all we have at the moment. But thank you everyone for joining. If you were with us last month, we started this session and it was called Native Spirituality, Creating Time and Space for Trauma Recovery. It's specifically designed for tribal healthcare providers, but if you're not a healthcare provider and some other kind of provider, welcome. And last month, we had some great presentations from 3 tribal folks. Jennifer Harding was one from the Herring Pond Wampanoag. And then we had the chief of the Mohegan tribe. And then we also had a guest from the West Coast, who was the executive director of the Native Dads Network, one of my really favorite organizations because it focuses on dads. So we had a great discussion, and we decided to continue today. We're going to continue for 3 months, as you all notice on the registration, and just have a 1-hour time to, as the title says, to create time and space. We know that you all are been in your work, and with the COVID environment, it's hard to not be stressed and not be concerned and not feel some weight more than usual on your shoulders. So we wanted to have this time for you. So this is a time to relax, get comfortable. You have no responsibilities for the next hour, to just be taken care of. And that's what we hope to do. So if we can go to the next slide, we'll go through these first slides really quickly here. This is our team, as I mentioned to you last time, the New England Mental Health Technology and Transfer Center team. It's Yale C4 Innovations, of which I am part of, Harvard University, and the Center for Educational Improvement. We work together to develop training opportunities for and support for people in the New England states. The next slide is just a disclaimer that says all's good with this. Everything that I'm going to show you today is public domain information. And the next slide is, I think this is important because just to mention it, that the New England MHTTC, as we call it, is very culturally responsive and striving to be more culturally responsive every day. And there's a specific outreach to people of color and of course, Indigenous people. And then I'm the lead for the Indigenous work. And it's important that they acknowledge that these other populations are really, really important. So if we can go to the next slide. So you all might remember last time, and we'll use this symbol for each of the sessions coming up. 2 more sessions, the last Thursday of every month, always at the noon hour, Eastern. But this is what we used the last time. You all might remember it if you were with us last month. Just this beautiful picture of us teepee in the night sky. So if we go to the next slide. So the other thing we used in this, I don't know if I mentioned this last month, is we are intentionally using water photos. Water for a lot of Native people is healing, regeneration, soothing. So, but the purpose of this gathering is really to honor you all and to give you continued support. We want to collectively acknowledge loss that we've experienced over the past 15 months, especially, or 16 or 17 months now with the pandemic, grief that we have felt, and anxiety. I think as human beings, it is normal. It is during the times that we are in to have moments of anxiousness and worry and concern. There's two, I think there's a couple more purposes there. The other is that, of course, we're exploring the role of Native spirituality and how that helps us with trauma recovery and wellness. And we're going to share some traditional ways of coping and joy. One of the things that I can promise you as this month and the next 2 months is that we'll always include videos of Native song and Native dancing, and the healing of and the joy of watching those videos, and they're all short but wonderful, really help us regain our balance. And so that's the purpose. And then if we can go to the next slide. So today we're going to open, now last month, if you're with us, Jennifer Harding really shared with us a wonderful prayer. But today, instead of we're going to have a different kind of prayer, and it's called the Warrior's Prayer. And I chose this because you all and we are all warriors. We're warriors in the modern time. And so I chose this one for you all. The performer is Nakoa Heavy Runner. He's Assiniboine Blackfeet from Montana. And Heavy Runner is a very well-known name in Indian country and in Montana. Very generational history of social justice. They're a very well-known name, the Heavy Runner family. And Nakoa has been composing music since he was a teenager, and he has all these different albums. And I believe he also has a media company that he started now. So he's a young Native person, and we want to share with you his Warrior's Prayer as the cultural opening. So I hope you enjoy it. It might take us a minute to start it, but just hang with us.
We went to all the powwows when we were young. At that time, children could not dance. Only people over 50 years of age could dance. Most people do not know this, that the government forbid children to dance Indian. And that was so they could wipe out the culture of the young people, and then finally the new generation would never know what happened, never know what happened.
My relation. Let go of your fears, for now is the time to take courage. My relation, look, for this is a beautiful life. Beauty is everywhere. You are here today, my relation. And nothing is more beautiful than that.
I hope you all enjoyed that warrior's prayer. And if you could, you know, it's interesting that in a barren landscape, the beauty of dance turns a barren dirt landscape into something incredibly beautiful. And you all might know that you can tell different tribes by the way they dress, their traditional clothes, their beadwork design. So you can tell he was dressed as what we call a fancy dancer. Different tribes have a different kind of look, but that was really beautiful. And I love the fact it was in a barren environment. And if you could hear his message, he refers to you all as my relations. And he said several things, but one I heard him say is let go of your fear. Now is the time to take courage. And I think in the environment of COVID and, you know, what we're seeing in Afghanistan, overwhelming distress. And I think it is a time for us to have courage. And I think you all probably demonstrate courage every day in your work. So I hope you enjoyed that. And I want to go to the next slide, which before we have our discussion is we always do an Indigenous land acknowledgement. And if you were with us last month, you saw this before, but it's just acknowledging that the land that we stand on, all of us, wherever you are at, was territories of Indigenous people. And those Indigenous people continue to be stewards of the land. So we ask you to always join us in supporting to affirm tribal sovereignty and always display respect and gratitude for Indigenous people. In that statement there, I just saw something recently that came out of, that I saw from our First Nation relatives. And they had this wonderful thing about 9 words and phrases to never use with Indigenous people. And it reminded me of this, always display respect and gratitude for Indigenous people. And if you're interested, I can share that article they wrote about 9 things to never say or use. And I'll be happy to do that. It looks like some people are nodding their heads. They'd like to see that. So I'll send that to you, or if I can put it in the chat, I will. So, and the other thing is that we always honor and recognize the original peoples of this land. And even with the Afghanistan people, you know, I think of Indigenous people all over the world. And I think the Afghanistan withdrawal and the evacuation of the people and what we're seeing reminds me so much of tribal, US tribal experiences. And so I have a lot of affinity for Indigenous people all over the world. And I'm sure you do too. So anyway, the last statement of this is that we really honor and recognize the original peoples of the land, and we understand that our healing is interconnected, and we all work to support and uplift our collective communities. So let's go to the next slide. So this is just a time, here's another water, a turbulent river. And we might feel, and you all might feel in your work and with what's going on just in your local environment, in your regional environment, across the country with other people you might talk to that are colleagues of yours. It does feel very turbulent, but after every turbulent spot in a river, there's normally a calm spot. And I think that's what we're all hoping to get to, that calm spot, and that we stay in that calm spot. But I just wanted to open it up a minute and let you all, anyone who would like to share any experiences that, or ideas or advice they have of resilience and rebalance. If you have gone through some situation that was very anxiety provoking, you must have ways that you've rebalanced yourself. And there are a lot of different ways to do that. Some are automatic. Some of us go on automatic pilot and can automatically rebalance. Maybe it's playing with your cat, Judith. Maybe it's going out for a walk. I started this 3-mile walk thing I've been doing for like a year and a half now, that I try to do almost every day, hopefully every day. And I don't listen to music. I don't take a phone with me. I just walk and look around and look at trees and look how the things have changed over the seasons, even though it's in a pandemic. So, I see Joan does a 3-mile walk too. And Jennifer Harding's been starting her mornings with a 10 to 15 minute guided meditation. Repetition is the best thing. Thank you, Jennifer. Anybody else would like to go off mute and share suggestions for your colleagues on the call? I think you can demute yourself if you would like to share anything. Jennifer, can you tell us a little bit more about your meditation? Are you able to demute? Oh, I see. Jennifer says her children are a little loud right now, so she can't go off mute. Judith says she does yoga, 30-minute sessions to rebalance and regulate. And her cat likes to be on Zoom. Vanessa says she starts her day with mindful stretching and focused breathing and relaxing music. You know, one of the things that reminds me, one of the things that I did is actually my son did for me. He bought me was very inexpensive. I think he said it was like $20 or something like that. But it was a white noise machine. But it has all these different sounds you can use. So I keep my white noise machine to the ocean sound. And I have it in my bedroom when in the evenings, and I only have the ocean sound in my bedroom, and I do not live anywhere near the ocean. But that's been really incredibly peaceful to me. Carolyn says she stares out the kitchen window for about 30 minutes at night, just watching in the day and night, just watching and looking. It's very tranquil, isn't it, to just unplug from Zoom, unplug from telephones, which are becoming antiquated, I guess, but just unplugging and just take in the sounds and what you see outside. Molly said she really likes the ocean sounds. That's a good idea. But I tell you, those little white noise machines, and if you all are clinicians, you're familiar with white noise machines, but when I was in the clinician world, they were only used as white noise machines. Now they have all these sounds. You can have birds chirping noise, you can have ocean, they're all on one machine. They give you probably 20 different options of noises, soothing noises. And so I chose the ocean. And again, I think it's a wonderful investment for like $20 or $25. LaQuandra, thank you, LaQuandra, says she wished she was more consistent, but she likes to do deep breathing and sound bowl meditation. I don't know what sound bowl meditation is, but I'd like to know. And hot shower and oils. Oh, that sounds so wonderful. Deep breathing is one of the most relaxing, intentional things we can do, even if it's only for 1 minute, to step outside of our work environment for a minute, close the door, go outside, and just breathe. Donna says Aroma Bath. Oh my gosh, I so miss having a bathtub for that. But anyway, thank you all for sharing that. There are lots of things that we can do that it just takes us to be intentional and to put ourselves first for just a little while. So I wanted to just share that with you all and have you think about, how do we create time and space for ourselves? I was talking to somebody the other day and they were saying that because there's so much emphasis now on self-care, and they were saying that in the area that the region that they were in the particular state that they were in, they were saying that some of the healthcare providers in particular were sort of resisting a little bit, or not liking the emphasis on self-care. And the reason they didn't is because it felt like one other job. Like, oh, I'm already doing so much. I'm taking care of so many people. And I have my family I take care of, and it's a horrible, hard time right now. And now on top of that, I have this other job that I have to do called self-care. Like, no, thank you. So I thought that was really interesting, and I appreciate that a lot. And maybe that resonates with you all. And that is an example of the level of anxiety I think that many people feel. Probably at some point, all of us have experienced that. And it might feel like an extra thing you have to do. But I guess I don't look at it that way. I feel like if I am not able to keep myself in balance, which is not always possible, given, anytime, sometimes our life circumstances around us overwhelm our capacity to cope. Now is a good example of that. But I try to pay attention. I try to pay attention to how I'm sitting, because a lot of times I'll notice I'll be kind of slumping, which is never good. I try to pay attention to how I'm breathing, how I'm sweating, if I'm sweating, how I look. Sometimes, I'll look at myself and anyone can see that I'm tired, or I didn't have enough sleep, or I'm not as sharp and clear looking as I would like to be. Sometimes I might be hungry, but I'm so busy, I don't eat until, past a normal time. I was telling some of my other colleagues that during this one period, which I'm not doing this anymore, but for one period of incredibly busy time, I kept telling them, I'm eating like a horse. I said, and I don't mean volumes, I mean standing up. Every time I'm eating, I'm standing in the kitchen at a counter eating. I'm not sitting down. I said, so I'm eating like a horse. And they laughed because they thought it meant like I was eating like huge amounts of food. And I said, no, it's not that. It's how I'm eating. I'm not taking time out to just sit down and to, check out, even if it's for 10 minutes to eat a meal. So I can see all that in me. I can see and I can feel, because I try to stay in touch with just how I'm feeling. And I try to notice that, like even the way I sit, if I'm slumping, I try to notice that. And then I thought, well, that can't be good. So I'll try to get up. I know a lot of people use standing desks. I wish I had one. But I think that's a big part of what we do. I think we all have the capacity to be resilient, to rebalance ourselves, whether it's tuning out, listening to music, whether it's going for a walk, whatever we do, playing with our cat, playing with our dog. But I think now it's even more important to pay attention to ourselves. We deserve time and space for ourselves. And we're not, I think if you are a provider, the DNA of a provider is not usually not to take a huge amount of time for themselves. We help other people. But even the smallest amount of time we can take for ourselves is incredibly rejuvenating. So I really encourage you all to do that. And thank you for sharing all the ideas. And several people have joined us since we started, but I wanted to just repeat what I said before, that this time, this 1 hour is for you. It's a time when you can feel unburdened, that you have no responsibilities for this hour. You can, open your heart, open your mind, open your body, just enjoy the information and the conversation and the tribal videos that I'm going to share with you. And we're going to do it again next month, and then one more month after that. So this is for you. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is humanity, humanness. So, I've got Afghanistan on my mind. I don't normally talk about things like that, but, it's obviously something huge going on in the world. And I think about those refugees. I think about everybody, actually, including the people who are remaining, all the changes that they are going through and all the uncertainty and just changes that we've never experienced, not in recent times. And I think about what that must be like to be in that place of total uncertainty. Don't know where you're going, don't know where you're going to live, don't know how you're going to live, don't know what's going to happen to your children. It's just unbelievable uncertainty. And I think about the commonalities and all of that. And maybe you have too, that in your own family history, if you go back 100 years or go back in time in your own family history, your own family, just by nature of being human, has also gone through times of great uncertainty. Regardless of what your ethnicity is, what your background is, it's pretty guaranteed that every one of us has in our family ancestry have had times of great uncertainty and great struggle. But they have overcome that because you are sitting here now. So I think it's in all human people's DNA to have shared experiences. They might look different. Some might be more extreme than others, but I think the positive thing that's come out of the world pandemic is I do think it's brought humans closer. I think it's it has resulted in a shared experience. Maybe not the experience we want, but there's a foundation to that across all languages, all places in the world, all people, Indigenous people, non-Indigenous, everybody, every person in the world has been impacted and continues to be in some way. And there's a beauty in that. The upside of that, there's a beauty in the commonality of humanity. So I have another video for you that if we go to the next slide, it's called Human. And it's performed by a group called Twin Flames. And they're an Indigenous husband and wife group. And maybe you all have heard of them. They're First Nations. The wife is Métis and Algonquin Cree. And these other tribes, I don't know how to pronounce the one with the J, Jaji, Inuk, Mohawk. And they're pretty well known in Canada. I don't know if you all have heard of them before, but I wanted to share with you their performance of a song that they wrote called Human. So let's listen to it.
Si vous voulez pas venir, à tout à l'heure tout me digo me akunga kayo sinyakara ayaw kakano do kaya lauma. I have a language that was born with time, passed on through generations, one of a kind. Keep it close to me, close to my heart, share for all to hear. I will do my part. Upigoso bunga. I am proud. Ino yama. I am human. I am people. I am human. I am people.
Say we were given our languages from the animals, from the trees, yet we cut them down. Many things have been taken from our people, yet we are still here. Our languages are not lost, but simply resting, waiting to be reawakened.
We are human.
So I hope you all enjoyed human reaction. Anybody want to share your thoughts about either of the two videos that we've seen? What's it make you think about or feel about? Thank you, Judith. Judith loved it.
Hi, this is Joan. Thank you for sharing them. They're very beautiful. I think for me, it reinforced when you were saying, you know, how we rejuvenate. I always try to think about the good in people and try to remember that the vast majority of people are looking for the best for each other. And that helps me a lot when there's so much ugliness sometimes happening that gets a lot of press and a lot of attention that I just try to center. So that was a great reminder of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. And I see that you work in sexual assault, and that's a really so important and such a tough job. But so I can imagine things that you've seen and heard. And the thing I like about human is, and I'm thinking about you, Joan, it makes me feel like I'm not alone. And I'm not just alone as a Native person, that there's all this wonderful joy. Every one of those photos of all these people from around the world were joyful. And that's one thing I really like about human is it makes me feel like I'm not alone. And I think there's times when all of us, especially if you're under incredible duress, have a moment where you feel alone, but you're not. We're not. And Kevin, I just want to acknowledge you, Kevin, because thank you so much for joining. I saw that you are a student at Cape Cod, and I think that's fabulous that you're here with us.
Thank you. I was here last month.
Oh, were you? Oh, great.
Yes.
Wonderful.
I'm going to try to make the next two also.
Oh, good. Excellent. What do you think, Kevin?
Beg your pardon?
What do you think about what you've seen so far?
I think it's wonderful.
And what makes it wonderful to you?
It's a whole different perspective of self-care through music and things that I've done in the past. I heard the bowls being spoken of. I've done yoga, I walk. I do a lot of different modalities. And music is certainly one of those places that has helped me, especially getting through all of this in the middle of a pandemic as a non-traditional college-age student going to school.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's really important. And I think it's really incredibly cool that you're a non-traditional student.
Thank you.
Can you go to the next slide, Vanessa? Because this is where we're at. It's just lessons heard. Not so much lessons learned, lessons heard. Anybody else have some thoughts that they want to share about what you thought about the human video or the warrior's prayer? Did it strike anything in you? What about you, Livia? I could see some of your joy.
I just realizing just the importance of dance and movement, right? In self-care, or well, the things that nurture resilience in me, and how much you just forget the stuff that you learn as a kid when you get to be an adult. So I'm like, yeah, all that joy and dancing we used to do as kids, you know, I certainly wasn't encouraged to do that as an adult. So I was like, hey, how can I keep forgetting this? So that's my feeling.
Yeah, thank you. And on my walk that I do, I'm in the Pacific Northwest. So it's really beautiful and it's green. Because I was in San Diego, I forgot how much I missed the color green when I came back up here. But I go by this big park where there's this pretty big children's playground. And it's always full of these kids, little kids, like under 8. Almost always. And it's so fun to walk by there and just sort of watch how children play. what they do, how physical they are. So that's another cool aspect of my walk I do.
Hi, I just wanted to say something really quick.
Sure, Jennifer.
I just wanted to say that, you know, you talked earlier about how, you know, a lot of people put, you know, self-care on the back burner, and some people think it's like a whole nother job, right? Mm-hmm. And as a mom of 2 kids and a, you know, worker of 4 different jobs and a farm here, I do agree with what you're saying, but I tried to make it, really tried to make it a point that it's not so much a job as it's like a lifestyle, because for me, this is one of my reasons why I do those things, because I also want my girls to grow up seeing that it's important to take care of yourself, because if you can't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of anybody else. So for me, it's not a job. It's I mean, I guess it kind of is my job to make sure that I'm doing this so that my kids can see this, because they do this stuff with me. I mean, she comes in and listens to the meditation in the morning, and you know, like, it's just such a great way for them also to start their day and to just, you know,
right,
be one with yourself. So I just wanted to say that I just think it's really important to do it for yourself, especially when you have kids watching you. I mean, because they're gonna, you know, they're gonna not know how to do this if they don't see people doing it. So
yeah, exactly. Thank you, Jennifer. And yeah, I feel like I know your little girl. I've seen her several times. So that's wonderful. Thank you. And I wanted to also acknowledge Judy, who's a clinical supervisor, and Caroline, who is from Birmingham, Alabama, which is a pretty tough environment right now, and Molly from Colville in Washington State. So welcome to you all. And if you were here last month, welcome back. But Judy, as a clinical supervisor, I just wonder if you had any thoughts you wanted to share. You're in such a critical role, and I wish there were thousands and thousands of you as a clinical supervisor. That is the one pet peeve I have, is there's too few clinical supervisors that actually do the job of being a clinical supervisor and aren't pulled into other things. So do you have any thoughts that you would like to share with us, Judy? Don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm just giving you an opportunity to.
And I apologize for the feline. I don't know what his issue is, but he's having trouble today. I think the most important thing we learned last year was that self-care is better done in community, as opposed to, so what we did last year was every week we sent out a self-care email to staff. And we had lots and lots of people say, stop it, take me off the list. Thank God for the delete button. Well, that's not effective, right? So this year we're using this model of communities of co-care and hoping to improve teachers' awareness of their own emotional load and helping them to kind of let that go in community and share that with other people who could say, I've been there, I get it, you're gonna be fine. So I would just encourage people to use small communities and develop those relational muscles that we can then share with the people that we work with.
That's wonderful, thank you. That's really, I mean, obviously important, but I'm thinking about the state of overwhelmedness that many people are in, and they just can't take on one more thing, even if it is their own self-care, and that it might feel like it's being pushed at them. So I think that's really important what you're saying. And one of the things I heard about just this week from a group in California, and what they're doing is they're doing these, I forget what they call them. They're sort of like care packages. That's not what they called them, but, and so it was things for providers to take home with them, things that they could do with their kids. One of them, they're kits. They called them kits. Once they did painted horses. So in the little bag, they had a little wooden unpainted horse, and they put in paint and different things you can do to make a painted horse. And this was a tribal community. Another time they did kits of medicine bags so that people could, it was like leather and sinew and things that they could, and they were just kits, unput together kits. And then people could take a sack if they want it or not. Another time they did, she said they did recipes, simple recipes that you could do with your kids. And I think they had food items in it. So they just had these kits there. They weren't forced on anyone, but if you wanted one, you could take it. And they changed them. But I thought that was really great, interesting. Well, I appreciate that. And let's see, 9:53. I have one more thing to share with you. But I wondered if Molly or Caroline had anything to say, anything to add, or anyone else. And again, not trying to put anyone on the spot. It's this, I love the title of this, these sessions that we're doing of creating time and space. And that's as simple as it is of what we're doing. And again, like I'm saying, this is your time. You know, you have no responsibilities during this hour, but to enjoy and think and listen and feel and relax. So does anyone have anything else they want to share? Or I'll just go on to the thing I want to share with you. Ready to move on? Jeffrey, Donna, Stephanie, Katie, LaQuandra, and William, I see your names. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so I have another thing to share with you. And you all might remember this fire from last month, and I can't emphasize enough that this is to honor you and honor you in the work that you're doing in your communities. And I want to share with you this really great group, and their motto, I guess, is I matter, you matter, we matter. And I want to share with you, if you can go to the next slide, Vanessa, please. A spoken word poetry, something different. And the author and performer is Tanshai Redverse, who I know or have known. And she is the co-founder with her brother when they were young. I don't know if they were teenagers, but they were very young. And they started a movement in Canada, a national Indigenous movement called We Matter. And you can find their information on their website, which is, I've listed it at the end of the slides here, but We Matter Campaign, all one word, .com. And it's an incredible movement that they started with no money and no interest in trying to become an organization. They just said, you know what, we're young, we know technology, we all have cell phones, let's do something to support Indigenous people across the country. And they did, they just did it. And it's based on uploading 1, 2, 3 minute messages of hope from other kids, from tribal council members, from healthcare providers, from police, anybody. And they just do these amazing, from the heart, short little videos on their cell phone. They send them to We Matter, and they're all over their website. And they say it's been a movement across the country. She's actually done a TED Talk, and it's been featured in all this. But she has this one spoken word poetry that she does. And I want to share that with you. It's called Darling. So let's start that. It's only 2 minutes long, but I think you'll enjoy it.
Darling, You were crafted from the finest things that this earth has to offer. The tan of your skin has surfaced from the purest grains of soil that hold your feet. Your hair falls down your back as if water was tumbling down rock, but then settles. Darling, your fingers are flowers that are softer than any pain that tries to take hold of you. Your hands are power, and your limbs are rooted to your soul. They aren't meant to fall by your sides. They're meant to reach higher than any tree in sight. Darling, stand proud. Your head might be home to demons, but your heart is home to so much more. Find your heart. And just like the beat of a drum, let it make sound, because our ancestors didn't make drums to be silent. I know how hard it can be to feel like you are walking in darkness. But darling, there is only so much darkness until there is sun. And even when there is no sun, there is moon. So let that remind you that you are never walking alone in darkness. Our ancestors see you. And just like the air that we breathe, even when coldness hurts our lungs, we need you. Because you are life. Darling, you matter.
That's a great example of the brilliance of young people. I think her spoken poetry, that particular one, is just so powerful, so brilliant, so moving, so applicable. And I wanted to share that with you. So any reaction or thoughts anybody wants to share before I move on? Thumbs up if you thought it was great, enjoyed it. Carolyn, thumbs up. You know, I could hardly watch that. I've seen her do this many, many times. I saw her do it live as well. I think this is the first time that I didn't have full of emotion because it is just such a wonderful, it just touches me in so many different ways. So I think it's fantastic. So thank you for listening that and sharing that 2 minutes with me. If you can go to the next slide, very powerful. LaQuandra, thank you. So we're at the end. I hope you have felt taken care of. Here's the list of the links to the videos that I showed, so you can share them, look at them, watch them again. I also included the WeMatterCampaign.org website, which is really interesting. They're obviously, you know, quasi shut down as lots of places are with pandemic, but they still have their website. And then I did share, again, the Native Wellness website, which is really a fun website of support. And then the next slide is just a reminder. Just go to one more slide there, Vanessa, please. Is next month, last Thursday of the month, 1 hour, your time, your space. I'll have more videos. I'll have more dance, and we'll have more conversation. And again, you know, this is, I hope you really appreciate that this is a time when you have no responsibility. Just come and join us, be nourished, get some ideas, and it's as simple as that. So next month, last Thursday of the month, it's September 30th, noon to 1 Eastern. And the last slide is if you want to connect with me, if you can go one more slide, and that's the last one. If you want to connect with me, you can reach me at my email address, or you can call me directly between now and next month. If you have some ideas, or maybe you have a video you think would be really good, always appreciate that. So I see Vanessa's putting up in the chat, asking to take a moment for a quick evaluation, and we will see you all next month. You have a good day, stay safe, and see you next month, I hope. Bye.